Hello, my beautiful Voidian children, and welcome back to Russian Roulette. I'm sorry I forgot about it. But here we are. We're about to go back in. So this chapter is called Standing Out, Fitting In. How was that? Yes. I fucking love this story. The very next day, the sun shone brightly, enveloping the prince's skin with warmth. It was also covered him in a radiant glow, which made him look even more... You know what? This is not going too well, because for some reason my nose is like extremely stuffed up right now. Why? Alright, my nostrils are clear, and we can continue reading this now. It also covered him in a radiant glow, which made him look even more... This book has a lot of big words. I'm too retarded for that. I may be a little bit sick. I might have a small cold. So, this is why I sound so shitty. I usually sound shitty, but but I sound worse right now. America didn't sleep much, to be completely honest. The king had forced him to train and study non-stop. Oh, there's a little thing. Oh my goodness, no, turn it off my hair. Hello, my beautiful Voidian children. Now that I know this little thing is actually a thing, I'm going to be using it. I had to go brush my hair, because I am a little bit sick. I kept tossing and turning last night because of the damn heat. And so it was pretty bad. That being said, let's continue this great story. The king had forced him to train and study non-stop until dawn broke. Gonna cough a couple times in this video too. He was used to this, but that didn't mean he doesn't get tired from it. When he saw Russia in the front gates of the palace, he plastered on a brilliant smile and walked over to his side. I also washed it, so it's real poofy. It gets real poofy when I wash it. A carriage drove over to the road and fucking probably not the best time to read this out when my throat is like this. A carriage drove out to the road in front of them. There was no one in the driver's seat and no horses, but yet it moved on its own. It was donned in a brilliant splendor of golden ornaments. Russia, who basically lived in the streets before yesterday, furrowed his brows. He had never seen such an expensive vehicle in his entire life. Are all royal carriages this unnecessarily flashy? It's just a royal thing. Come on, let's get in. Are your parents not going to send you away? Oh, at the mention of them, America's expression grew noticeably darker. Those people are not my parents and never will be. Just as America said that, a woman came up to them. Yes, this isn't Britain and France. This is not Britain and France. She was shorter than the prince, with a blood-like crimson dress. My son, make sure you become the best student and immediately come back. Luckily, she didn't hear what America said earlier. Russia noticed the prince take a deep breath. Yes, mother, he said with a lack of emotion. The woman was satisfied and left just like that. America beckoned Russia to get into the carriage along with him. As soon as she left, the prince stared out the window with his chin rested on his palm. Was that not your mother? Russia asked, just because he noticed the prince didn't like talking about his parents. So basically, the dragon wanted to annoy the prince. No, she is not my biological mother. I don't want to talk about it. Shut up. The American coldly shut down his question. When the carriage started moving along the pathway, America nodded off to sleep because he barely got any sleep last night in the first place. His head accidentally rested on the Russian's shoulder. Russia tensed up for a second, then stared at the prince, who seemed to already be asleep. The Russian proceeded to push America's head away so that it didn't rest on his shoulder. America was indeed asleep, but that push jerked him awake. He just pretended to keep sleeping because it was irritating and he didn't have the energy to converse with anyone right now. My glasses, bro. It's hard to keep them on my face when it's so hot. I think it's just hot because I get, like I say, got a little bit of cold. The prince dreamt of many things. There was a flurry of blurry pictures. The clearest scene was a beautiful snowy night. The American was jerked awake when the carriage stopped. I'm surprised you didn't try to kill me while I was asleep. Even if I did try, you would have been ready. Good observation. America opened the carriage door and stepped out. The building was huge and lavish, with a long pathway that they had to walk before. I already struggle with reading things out loud, and just fucking being sick is not helping at all. It's okay. It'll be okay. They had to walk before even getting at the door. On the pathway were marble pillars that shined brilliantly in the light. The building also had towers around it. The two of them walked down the path side by side towards the building. The other people on the pathway moved away from them when they saw the two of them. Russia observed their expressions. He didn't have any of his dragon features out because he knew people would drive him out if he did. Instead, they were scared of his expression. Handsome, but yet cold and scary, as everyone usually said. His extremely tall height wasn't helping either, making him look even more intimidating. America was already taller than average, but yet he was still shorter when next to the Russian. To Russia. My God. I'm struggling. Suddenly, arrows came flying at the two of them. Their expressions didn't even waver. America observed the arrows were not made of ability-suppressing metal, so the two of them didn't even move from their spots. The arrows deflected off of them the second they hit the dragon and the prince's body. When the barrier of arrows was done, America leaped up and sliced a tree branch with a sword, detaching it from a tree. The person who had been hiding there to ambush them fell down with the branch, landing straight on their back. They tried to get up and run away, but the tip of America's sword was already pointed at their throat. The American's expression was eerily calm, like he was glorying at the ambush. Holy moly, big words. So dumb for big words. All the people around them already scurried away, but still watched from afar. So you thought that if you were able to beat me, you'd be seen as more powerful? America spoke. It wasn't a question, but more like a statement. Some people naturally knew who America was at first glance. The military's little weapon wasn't exactly a secret to everyone. To his surprise, though, the ambusher used an arrow to deflect America's sword. They took this opportunity to try and run away. America scoffed. No matter how far they could run, they cannot escape from America either way. He was just about to use his ability when Russia actually helped him out. He made his tail visible and used it to grab onto the ambusher. Pesky bug. Russia scowled at the captured person. They struggled, trying to free themselves from Russia's grasp with no avail. "You're a dragon! Get off school grounds! You don't even belong in the kingdom!" the person said rudely. The people who were watching from afar whispered amongst themselves as well. Russia narrowed his eyes. "Doesn't mean I can't decapitate you right here, right now." "No murder on your first day of school. Just drop them," America instructed him. The taller male rolled his eyes and dropped the person, suppressing the urge to murder. The person knew that America was the military's dog, and it was unlikely that he would hurt other students or let anyone hurt other students. That's right. Too bad you had to abide by the laws. You're supposed to protect us anyway because of your position. Hurry and get rid of the dragon, they said to America smugly. I may have to protect your safety because of my position, but what makes you think I'd take orders from you? America lifted the sword and stabbed him in the leg. The person let out a cry in pain as America walked away with Russia. The prince sighed in annoyance. This place is somewhat full of stupid, spoiled kids, so you'll have to get used to it. Probably not used. Racism! Bruh, that reminds me when in the fucking Percy Jackson book, when Tyson gets introduced, Annabeth is such a dick to him just because he's a Cyclops. Racism. Poor Tyson. He's just a big dummy. He's real sweet. When he turned his face to Russia, he already made his horns and tail visible. We have a similar defense mechanism, Russia said after observing the way both of them just stood there and the arrows would deflect off of their bodies. Yes, I guess it is somewhat similar. But there was something Russia couldn't wrap his head around. The sword America used. It seemed to come out of thin air. He knew the prince didn't have the sword with him in the carriage. Where did it come from? Is it related to his ability somehow? The dragon's eyes traveled to the prince's hand. The sword was gone. America was just holding it a few seconds ago. He decided not to ask. Then America pointed at the hallway that they had entered inside. Doors on the by the left wing. Let's go. Before they entered the left wing, a lady behind a desk stopped them. I'm in charge of dorms. Are you here for a room, Your Highness? Her expression changed when she saw the taller male with the horns and tail. Oh, Your Highness, I can offer you one of the bigger rooms. How would you like that? She smiled politely at America. That would be great. We could use a bigger room. The receptionist laughed. I meant just for you. The dragon has to stay away from the dorms in general. America glared. You think you can just kick him out? He's my guard. I am a higher authority than you in this school. Then we'll just take the lower classrooms, America snapped. The receptionist scoffed and threw 2 metal plates at them. The metal plates already had the two duos' names engraved in them. United States of America and Russian Federation. She stared at me. They both left without letting her say any more harmful words. Russia didn't know how these things worked, so America explained instead of the receptionist. Just have them with you at all times. As long as you have them with you, the door will unlock for you. If you don't, it'll stay locked. The prince shoved his metal plate in his pocket. Russia was often treated unfairly by people. He was used to it. But that didn't mean he didn't want to pulverize them. Dragons were often never called by their names, merely just the dragon or that dragon. Racism! There are reasons why dragons have been discriminated against by people. One is because they're biologically powerful by birth, and it is always granted that they'd be somewhat powerful. Meanwhile, when it comes to normal people, they manifest their powers at a certain age, and how good the ability is unknown. It's like a spinning lottery wheel. Second reason is a long time ago, before the discrimination, dragons tried to take over the kingdoms, causing terror and the loss of many lives. It was hard for people to fight back because the dragons had an abundant of mother sugar. Being sick sucks. Fortunately, they were able to defeat the dragons, and from then on, the rulers of the kingdoms banned the dragons in fear that they'd try to take over again. These two reasons are very unfair. One of them is something they were born with, something themselves cannot control in the first place. The second is the fault of their ancestors. Why must the descendants suffer for what they did? Good point! Really good point. Racism! America was the first person to call him by name and treat him like any other person in a very long time. When they reached their door and pushed it open, there were two figures inside. One was a young man with white skin and a fresh face. The other was a young man with an eye patch as well as horns and a tail. They do all the art themselves. It's really cool. It's really cool. And it looks really nice.